Nearly 2 months after George Floyd died at the hands of law enforcement, concerns about police brutality continue across the country. In the wake of cases of police brutality and the public riots that followed comes a concept that's a major topic of discussion for protesters and a key element in cases of police brutality: use of force by law enforcement. Our Lindsay Hyatt visited the Cascade County Sheriff's office to learn about the use of force firsthand by experiencing real-life force scenarios.
Behind every confirmed case of police brutality is the abuse of the use of force. In order to better understand the difference between abuse and use of force, I asked Cascade County Sheriff Jesse Slaughter what use of force is.
The process in which a sheriff's deputy is out there and they are seizing a human being, meaning they are taking a human being into custody. And when doing that, we are charged with doing it with the least amount of force possible.
It's one thing to understand use of force, and another to experience it firsthand. So Sheriff Slaughter recommended I practice using force for myself. After 3 use of force scenarios, I found myself asking, how much force can I lawfully use in a given situation?
That is entirely up to the person who we're taking into custody. If that person is very compliant and follows our orders and there's no problem, there's no use of force used. When that person escalates the level of force, we as law enforcement are allowed to escalate a level above their level of force.
During the mock scenarios, I faced legal and moral questions and the pressure to make a decision, all in a moment's time. I also dealt with factors like differences in sex and size.
You're a small statured female and you are confronting a approximately 200+ pound male in an altercation. Is that going to change the level of force you use?
For deputies like Slaughters, these questions and stress-inducing situations are a daily reality. That being said, I still wondered about the abuse of force and power that often leads to instances of police brutality.
There obviously are people devoted to their jobs and who, want to make that decision that is in compliance with the law and their moral standards.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel like there are also those who can misuse the use of force?
Absolutely. We've seen it. We've seen people do horrific, horrible things.
So will this abuse of power persist?
It always will until we can get people out of law enforcement. As long as there's people in law enforcement, there'll be people who abuse power.
But where abusers of force exist within law enforcement, protectors of peace do too. In Great Falls, Lindsay Hyatt, MTN News.